This is my 12th and last budget, I believe. And to be honest, first I want to acknowledge and express my gratitude to Councilmember Rice and Reamer, because as outgoing council members along with me, when I hear the reflections of my colleagues about this particular budget, I have to recognize that it's all really predicated on a lot of the work of previous councils, and it's kind of like a story, right? It's like a narrative. And so I know a lot of this sounds familiar to the two of you in particular, and it will sound very familiar to everybody else as the years go by. But I will say that it is really important to also express my appreciation to Council President Albornoz, because it seems like every time you become council president, you really, you come in thinking that you know what's going to happen, and then everything just shifts day by day. And you've done such a great job with your staff to really, address all of these issues as they have hit us. So I want to thank you. I want to thank your staff. I also want to thank the administration staff, because obviously, here we are done, and pretty soon they're going to start working on next year's budget. And so complicated, complex issues, no doubt, and they deserve a lot of credit for everything they do. Our incredible central office staff, Ms. Michelson, thank you so much for also thinking through this team approach. I think it's worked so well. And everybody I can't say enough about all of our analysts. They are professionals. They are incredible. They are just so smart, and I admire each and every one of them. My amazing Team Navarro staff, Roland Nicoloa, Berta Sersosimo, Craig Wilson, Chris Leacock, and a great intern. We have a great intern, Luke, as well as Mayra Cruz Solis, who is still doing extraordinary work. I want to thank them for keeping me sane and understanding so well our District 4 needs, and also the macro needs of our incredible county. And so, again, it's so hard to just, pick and choose, because everything in this budget is so important. But I will say that for me, when I think of this budget overall, I think of equity. And I'm very moved, because I think that the work we did in 2019 on the racial equity and social justice law is not just about what it requires, but it has really, truly, in my opinion, become a culture change, where now you hear everybody that comes in front of us, every time we go out into the community, there's a conversation about equity and what it means and how can we best do that. And I saw it firsthand with our African American Health Program, En Por Nuestra Salud y Bienestar, which was predicated on this notion of how do we address this pandemic through this equity lens. And we saw how this has become a national model. And so I am very grateful to have played a role in getting that done, because to me, as I leave the council, I keep thinking about not just those micro needs that we have to address, but also those structural and systemic issues that we have got to address, and make sure that we put forth a trajectory that best serves the needs of our residents. And so under that vein, I will say that our GO committee, amazing admiration for Councilmember Katz and Friedson, because GO usually has quite a big lift. I know Councilmember Reamer was part of that committee as well. But, we had to immediately make sure we addressed the issue of the $20 million in OPEB during this budget, and we did that without hesitation. That was super important. What you heard about our debt service reduction, that is thanks to the work of this committee, no doubt. And I'm also proud to have played a role in maintaining our AAA bond rating since I took the helm of that committee in 2011, through a recession and now through a pandemic. But that is a collective effort. And we have stood very strong in terms of respecting our fiscal policies, which has led to us retaining that AAA bond rating. That's really important, as you just heard when we talk about our CIP deliberations. That's very important. Of course, early care and education, really critical. Structural dream that I've had for a very long time. So pleased that we now just finished the last piece, which was to create a coordinating entity. And I believe we have over $20 million invested in early care and education. Sets up so nicely as we address very soon what is coming through the blueprint for Maryland's future. So I'm very proud of that work. I will also just point out that our very swift work to establish and move forward with the full expansion of wellness centers to each high school, and hopefully also connecting to middle schools, was so critical. To me, that speaks to what we have learned about best practices, best models, and scalability. We're so fortunate in Montgomery County that we have all these best practices out there and models that we can learn from. The Wellness Center is one of them. And so we collectively said, hey, it is time to scale that up. It was a priority for me because, again, when you think about what is the most strategic intervention, this is a model that really has worked. And I am grateful to Luis Cardona, who is the lead, who is the director of the Street Outreach Network, because his work also is a model that I know I have prioritized throughout all my years in each budget. And I think will make a huge difference because every single day we read another story of another tragedy, and we know that right now there's still a lot of stress, especially for our young people. So I am really grateful to that, and to my colleagues for have supported this. It is absolutely important. Lastly, what I will say is that, our constituents, our residents, they're just the best. And through this pandemic, one of the silver linings have been this notion that we can have virtual public hearings, that we can have all these meetings in a virtual setting. That has been a real welcome silver lining because the participation has been just extraordinary. And I do hope that we continue to do that. I want to personally thank Sonia Healy and her communication staff because they have been instrumental in facilitating all of this quick adaptation in order to make sure that our very, very diverse Montgomery County population knows that they can be comfortable in participating in their civic process, that they can have a say in what happens in their communities. And I do really, truly believe that this council has once again set forth a model for the nation on how you can do that in a seamless way and in a respectful way, and how, of course, the decisions that we're making today are predicated on all of that feedback. And that to me is just wonderful. And I know that it will only continue to be strengthened as we go forward. So with that, again, I mean, there is just so much to appreciate in this budget. But I believe that it is because of this collective work that we're able to get to this point. And for that, again, I thank you so much. No easy thing, $6.3 billion, half of that to a school system, sends a signal of what it is that we value here in Montgomery County and what we will continue to do to keep this place one of the most amazing jurisdictions to call home. Thank you.